Join me as we learn Chumash for Parshas Beshalach, chapter 13, verse 17. In the previous Torah reading, we learned about the Jewish people's exodus from Egypt, the fact that they were told about the commandments concerning the Paschal offering, the commandment concerning consecrating the firstborn, and reminding them in every generation the mitzvah to remember the exodus of Egypt. Today, we continue with the Jewish people's travels out of Egypt. Verse 17, chapter 13. Vayihi Beshalach Pariyas ha'am. And when Pharaoh had to send the people out, since Pharaoh had now sent the people out, God did not want to lead them on the road through of the Philistines, ki karevu, because it was near, ki amar alikim, because God said, the people may have a change of heart when they see that they have to have a wage of war, and they'll return to Egypt. Rashi, what does this mean? God did not lead them. Go and lead the people. So to the word tanche, nacham comes to mean lead. And it's easy to go back in that way to Egypt. There's many different explanations in the Medrash what this actually means. What kind of war? Like the war of the Amalekites and the Canaanites, which then they said, let's go back to Egypt. If they would go in an easy and straight way, they would have a change of heart and they would want to go back. If it was even in a way that they went in a very awkward way, in a longer way. They still said, and they still complained and said, let's go back to Egypt when it came to time of war. How much more so if you wouldn't have went in a simple way? How much more so they would want to go back and they would be interested in going quickly back to Egypt. What does the word Yinachim mean over here? They'll have thoughts. From the they'll have a change of thought, a change of mind. They'll regret the fact that they leave, and they'll want to go back. Verse 18. And therefore what God did was he took the people via the desert road towards the Sea of Reeds. Through the desert, through the Sea of Reeds. And the Israelites, the Jewish people, were armed when they left Egypt, when they came up from Egypt. Verse 18, Vayasef, he took them an awkward way, from the simple way, to a crooked way. Yamsuf, meaning Yamsuf, towards the Sea of Reeds. The Suf, the word Suf means Loshin Agam, like a swamp. Shegedelim konim, that reeds grow there. Like we had it previously, that Moshe's basket was put in the swamp. Konev Vesuf Kamelu. It's also found in Isaiah about the reeds that grow in the swamp. The Chamushim, the word Chamushim here, Ein Chamushim elo mezuyana, means that they were armed. Being that he brought them to go through the desert, Godum lam shalach Chamushim, a cause that they should come armed. If they would go through the Philistine way where people were living, they wouldn't have to be armed with everything that they had. A person doesn't need to carry so much stuff with him because he's going through a city, he can buy things that are there. But when he goes to a place of a desert, and he's not going to be in the city, he has to prepare in advance everything that he needs. This pasuk, the way it was written, was only to be able to make it easier for the person to explain to the listener that's learning of what's going on. Meaning, you should not ask. When it comes to the war of Amalek and the war of Sichon and Og, and the war of Midian, where did the Jewish people have any arms to be able to fight against the wars of Amalek, Sichon, Og, all the different wars that they had? That the Jewish people killed them out by sword. Therefore, Rashi comes to tell us, the pasuk over here is explaining to me, the Jewish people went prepared. So too we also find that they had arms. You should go armed amongst them. That they had arms for war. Another explanation is chamushim. The word chamushim here comes from the word chamesh, 20%. Echad mechamisha, 1 out of 5. Yatzu arba chalok yemesa b'shleishis mea followed. That about the Jewish people that left Egypt, this was only 20% of the Jewish population that left. 1 out of 5 came out. The other 4 parts died in the plague of darkness. Verse 19. Vayikach Moshe sasmei Yosef, and Moshe took with him the bones of Yosef with him. Imoy. Ki hashbeya hishbias bnei Yisrael, because Yosef made the Jewish people take an oath. Lamer saying, Pokoid hifked alekem eschem, that God will surely remember you. And you will take your bones with you when you leave here. Hashbeya hishbiya. Why the double terminology? Hishbiyam sheyashbiyu. Yosef made that generation swear that they would make the following generation swear, and so too the next generation swear that they would take that oath, that they would take his bones with them. Why didn't he say, right when he died, tell his children that they should go bury him in the land of Israel like Yaakov did? Like Yaakov did. And Omar Yosef said, Alas, I'm the ruler of Egypt, so therefore I had the ability to do it. My children, the Egyptians are not going to allow them to do it. Therefore he made them take an oath. That when they come out of Egypt, and they leave there, they should take his bones with them. He made his brother swear. We learn that this, why does it say with yours? Meaning that all the tribes' bones were taken out of Egypt, and Yosef says, my bones should be taken with yours, that all of them were taken at the time. Verse 20, this is now on the 16th of Nisan, the day after they left Egypt. They moved on from Sukkos, which they were encamped on, and they encamped in Esan, which was at the edge of the desert. By Yom HaSheni, the second day, because on the first day, they came from Ramses to Sukkos, so now they're in Sukkos, and now they're moving on from Sukkos. Verse 21. And God went before them. Yoimam, during the day, Ba'amudanim, with a pillar of a cloud. To lead the way. And by night, with a pillar of a fire, of light. To light up the way for them, Yoimam v'layla, by day and by night. 21, Rashi. To be able to lead them. Like we see it also in other places, that God was leading the way. How was he leading the way? Who was the messenger? What was the one to lead the way? Was the Amud on the pillar of the cloud. Therefore, when we talk about the cloud, and this that it's telling us, it doesn't. The cloud was going alone. This is because God was leading the cloud. Put the cloud that it should be able to lead them before him. Still in all, the pillar of the cloud was leading the way. This is what it was able to lead the way, but of course it was God that was leading them. Rashi continues to say that this pillar of the cloud was not only to give light, but also to show them which way to go. And this is what God was saying, that he led them and which way he led them. Verse 22, the God did not remove the pillar of cloud by day, or the pillar of fire by night, from before the people. Means God did not remove that pillar by day, not the pillar of by night. Magid, what does this come to teach us? That even though they were both there and they were continuously there, how were they continuously there? That there was no moment that there was one that was not there. That the one would complete, that while one was leaving, the other one was coming. That until one was completely down, the other one did not completely leave. Chapter 14, verse 1. And God spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the Jewish people, and let them turn back towards Sukkos, and let them encamp between the two peaks which were called Piachires, between Migdal and the sea. Lefnei Baal Tzafon, in front of, before the monument of Baal Tzafon. You shall encamp opposite it, facing the sea. So you have the Baal Tzafon on one side and the sea on the other. Rashi, v'yashuvu, meaning they should go backwards. Lachareim, backwards, l'tzad Mitzrayim, going towards Mitzrayim. That means you have to make a U-turn and start heading towards Egypt. Hoyu mekarvim kol hayom hashlishi, they were going towards Egypt that whole third day. Kedei lahatis aspare, to confuse Pharaoh. Shayomer, and say, these guys are lost. Pharaoh said to the Jewish people that they are stuck. And they will then rest before Piachides, who Pisay. That is the same place called Pisay. However, now Nikra was called Piachides, the Piachides. Why was it called Piachides? Because the Jewish people became their free people. What was it actually referring to? What was that placing look like? There were two big mountains, two big peaks. Straight up and high. The Hagai and the valley Shabineim, in between them, Kari Pi Hasloim was called Pi Hasloim, the opening of the peaks. So you had these two peaks on the side, the valley in between, so it looked like the mouth of the peaks. Lifnei Baal Tzafon, in front of Baal Tzafon. What was Baal Tzafon? Hu nishar mikol alekei Mitzrayim. This was the only idol that was left from all the idols of Egypt. Why specifically there? Kedelat Oisan, in order to confuse Pharaoh. Shashiyomer will say, look, Kasher Yirasan, look, our idol worked. It trapped the Jewish people and didn't allow them to leave. The Olav Pirush Eov, this is what Eov says, Mashki Lagoyim v'yamdim, God makes, so to speak, their idol something great and causes the nations to think that this is great and that because of their idols, he destroys them. Verse 3. The Omar Pari and Pharaoh will say, Nevuch livnei Yisrael, about the Jewish people. Nevuchim em ba'aretz, they are trapped in the land. Sagar alei midbar, the desert closed in on them. The Omar Pari, Rashi, Yishmashim shavim lachareim, well, Pharaoh will hear that they're coming back. Livnei Yisrael, about the Jewish people. Al b'nei Yisrael, about the Jewish people. V'chein, as we see in other places, Shem ilachem lachem, aleichem, will be because of you. Imr li achi, imri alai. Different places where we see al means about. Nevuchim heim, kluyim, they're trapped. M'shakoyim, they're stuck. Ubelaz shirir. Like the people that are stuck in the sea, all these different places, the people that are stuck in the depths of something where they're not able to get out of it. So over here too, they are trapped, they're trapped in the desert, how to get out of it and where they should go. Torah continues, verse 4. And I will make Pharaoh's heart hard. And he will chase them. And I will make, and then I will then be glorified through Pharaoh, v'chol cheloi, and his entire army, v'yadu Mitzrayim, ki ani Hashem v'yasuchein. And then everybody will know, they will finally know that I am God, when they see that they will be wiped out, eventually v'yasuchein, and this is what they did. V'yikavda b'fari. What does it mean? V'yikavda b'fari. K'shakadosh Baruch Hu misnakim b'reshoyim. I will get glory. I will be glorified because of Pharaoh when I take revenge on the evil people. When God takes revenge on bad people, then Shmoi miskadel u'miskabed, his name becomes great and honored, as it says. V'chein as Yecheskel says, v'nishpatati itay, I was judge him, and only afterwards he says, v'yiskadilti v'yiskadishti, I'll become great and I'll be sanctified. V'neidaiti, I will be known. The Omer, as he says, Shama Shibarish Vekashas, over there he destroyed them, that God destroys Sancherev, and afterwards he says, Noida B'Yuda Likim, that God becomes known. The Omer, Noida Shamishpat Asa, God that's known by the judgment that he does. Pari B'chol Cheloi, by why does he say Pharaoh and his army? Who is Chil Ba'aveda? He started with the transgression, because Pharaoh is the one that tells them, let's go, and therefore, Umimenu is Chil Peronis, he is the one that the punishment will begin with. And they did so. This comes to teach us the praise of the Jewish people. That they listened and they followed Moshe's voice, what he said. And they didn't say, hey, why are we going backwards? Why are we going closer to the people that we're running away from? We should be running away from them. They said, they all said, and we only follow whatever Moshe tells us, the words of the son of Amram. Verse 5. Vayugad lemelech Mitzrayim, and it was told to the king of Egypt, Kibarach ha'am, that the nation is running away, that the nation ran away. That they fled. Vayehafech levav parei, and the king of Pharaoh, his heart changed towards the people. Vavadav and his servants alam towards the people. Vayomeru, and they said, what is this that we have done? Kishilachnas Yisrael miavdenu, that we allowed the Jewish people to go. Vayugad lemelech Mitzrayim, who told him? Ikiturin sholach lahem. What happened was that the Pharaoh sent with them people, messengers, to see, because the Jewish people technically only asked for 3 days. So he sent spies or guards to know what's going on. Are they coming back after 3 days? They saw that the 3 days passed, that they set up that they were going to return, and these messengers saw that they're not returning. So what did he do? So they came and told Pharaoh on the 4th day. And then on the 4th and 5th day, they ran after them. And on the 7th day, that means 3 days later, is when they were drowned into the sea. Beshalach, in the morning of the 7th day, that's when the Jewish people gave song to God. That's the 7th day of Passover, which is the day that we give thanks to Hashem that the Egyptians were drowned in the sea. That's why we read this Torah reading on the 7th day of Pesach. And he changed, transformed to what he was before. Initially, after the plague of the firstborn, he said, Omar lam kumu tzumetecham, go and get out of here. Now, he's changing, had a change of heart. Also so too about his servants, because in the past they said, it's just becoming a stumbling block for us, this is a problem, let them go. And now, they decided to chase them. They wanted their money back. Me'avdeinu, from serving, from serving us. Verse 6, and Pharaoh himself, this is on the 19th of Nisan now, he harnessed his chariot, and convinced his people, and he took his people with him. He did it himself. He was so angry, he was so wanted them to get it that he didn't allow his own people to do it. He himself did it. What does it mean? He convinced them. He convinced them by saying, look at this. We got punished by them. They took our money, and then we let them go. Come with me. I'm not going to be like other kings that send their army, but he sits home in the palace with his feet up on the couch. In other cases, the kings and these servants go first by war. However, in this case, I'm going to be the one in the front. As it says, that Pharaoh was coming close. He made himself come close. He came before his army. He told his people, all other kings, he gets to pick from the booty whatever he wants. However, I'm going to make sure to split it equally. As it says, as we're going to read in the song Achalik Shalol. Verse 7. And he took with him 600 choice chariots, and as well as all the chariots of Egypt, and with officers in command on them all. Bachur, what does the word Bachur mean? Verse 7, Nifcharim, the best, the chosen. Bachur b'lashin yachid, kol rechav avrechav v'sheminyan zeh bachur. That why does he use a singular term if there were 600? Because each one of these 600 were the best and the chosen of all his chariots. Chol rechav Mitzrayim, the imam with them, kol asher rechav, all the other people, the simple guys. That means he took the 600 of the best, and along with them, all the other chariots as well. Where are all these animals? Didn't they all get killed? If you're going to say there were Egyptians that didn't have Mitzrayim, whose animals? If you're going to say it's the Egyptians, they were all killed. If you're going to say it's the Jews, they took them with them. Whose were them? From those people that feared God and took their animals in during the hail. However, from here the Reb Shimon used to say, that the best of the Gentiles during a war, you got to kill them. Why? Because even now they might be kind to you, but you never know how they'll turn back on you. As you see over here, these people, even though they were fearful of God during the time of the plagues, but when it came a time to pursue the Jewish people, They put nothing down, and they were ready to chase and pursue the Jewish people. Same thing also it says, Teiv Shebenachashim, even the best of snakes, clobber his head, because you don't know when that snake will turn on you. The Shalishim al Kulei Sari Tzvayis, people that were in charge, generals, V'kedarkumai Gibod in Iman, like the Targum translates that the generals were on top of them. Verse 8. Vayichazik Hashem Aslave Pari, and God hardened Pharaoh's heart. Vayirdef acharei bnei Yisrael, and he chased after the king of Egypt. Vayirdef acharei bnei Yisrael, and chased after the Jewish people. He pursued the Jewish people of Bnei Yisrael, Yitzam Yadrama, and the Jewish people are going out triumphantly. Vayichazik Hashem Aslave Pari, Hayatoila, Im Lirdef im Love. He was first questioning should he or shouldn't he, but then he decided he is going to do it. But God hardened his heart that he should decide that he should go. Yad Rama, what does it mean? Triumphantly. They were proud, strong, and happy, triumphant of the great miracles. They did it in great publicity that they were now leaving Egypt. This concludes the first Torah reading of the Torah reading of Beshalach.